A silent complex. Sterling Locke. Once upon a time, it was fashionable, even expected, for thoughtful citizens to look warily upon the machinery of endless armament. Those who spoke of the military-industrial complex knew that war and profit, joined at the hip, create a dangerous appetite that can never be sated. They understood that the gears of state, once lubricated by conflict, grind endlessly forward in search of fresh justifications. And yet today, some of the very same voices who once warned against this union now find themselves silent, or worse, enthusiastic, when the power of the state is deployed more aggressively at home and abroad. They condemn the armament of yesterday, while embracing the mobilization of today. They scorn the profiteering of generals and contractors, but applaud when the same machinery is rebranded as safety or readiness. The contradiction is glaring, but it passes with little comment. What was once criticized as militarism has been refitted, not dismantled. National security becomes the catch-all term, equally invoked for wars overseas and deployments at home. In this way, the state convinces a people to see war not merely as a tool of foreign conquest, but as a permanent posture, a governing logic. It is a slow, creeping transformation. Where the soldier once stood at the border, he is now imagined in the city street, the schoolhouse, the public square. The danger is not new. Philosophers and statesmen throughout history, including those of the American tradition, warned that the concentration of power in military hands would always tempt rulers to turn inward. Every empire that has justified external campaigns for security has sooner or later found itself using those same legions for domestic quieting. The line between enemy abroad and enemy within is a thin one for some, and once erased, it is never restored. The irony, then, is bitter. Those who mouthed the old warnings against the merchants of war now cheer the expansion of war corporatism, so long as it promises to tame some new foe, foreign or domestic. The very critique they once wielded was not meant as a partisan weapon, but as a principle. That concentrated power, funded by compulsory tribute and cloaked in military necessity, cannot help but consume liberty. If that was true yesterday, it remains true today. The inconsistency should trouble us. If one condemns profiteering in bombs, how can one excuse profiteering in surveillance? If one decries the entanglement of industry and state in the making of war abroad, why applaud that same entanglement in the promise of security at home? The form has shifted, but the essence is unchanged. Contracts flow, bureaucracies swell, and the people pay dearly for protections that arrive laced with new restrictions. Recent events, whether missile strikes launched upon distant waters, or today's headlines of yet another limited action against some nameless adversary, show how easily the wheel keeps turning. These episodes are presented as routine, as if the Republic were born to administer global policing and perpetual conflict. Each strike is justified as necessity, each escalation as prudence. The citizen is told that safety depends upon power, and power depends upon obedience. To question this is increasingly to invite suspicion, but liberty cannot long survive a culture that accepts such terms. The old warnings against militarism were not warnings against a specific policy or administration, but against a permanent temptation, the temptation to trade freedom for the illusion of safety, to treat the citizen as a subject, and the world as a battlefield. Those who once recited these truths have grown quiet, distracted perhaps by the appeal of power in their own hands. But truth does not bend to convenience. War corporatism remains what it always has been, a drain upon prosperity, a solvent of civil liberty, and a mask behind which rulers conceal their own ambitions. Whether its justifications are wrapped in foreign crusades or domestic order, the core bargain is the same. The task of the honest friend of liberty is to remember this, and to remind others of it. It is not enough to criticize militarism when it is politically expedient. and bless it when it serves one's cause. To do so is to betray principle for expedience. A genuine devotion to liberty requires consistency, even when that consistency is uncomfortable. In the end, the question is simple. Do we believe that the apparatus of war, once unleashed, can be tamed to serve only our preferred ends? Or do we believe, as our forebears did, that every expansion of martial power comes at the expense of civic freedom, and that the liberty of the individual must never be entrusted to standing armies, however noble their banners? The times may change, but the danger does not. The silence of those who once spoke out should not be mistaken for wisdom. It should be taken as a warning,